Hello, everyone. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our process in getting a diagnosis for our daughter. Um, so, for anyone that doesn't know us and who's just started following us, we have a daughter called Grace. She is nearly 4 years old. At the age of about 1.5, we started noticing some difference with Grace. So, she really regressed in her speech. She was talking and babbling away like a normal child, and then it just seemed like overnight she really regressed with her speech. It went back to more of the goo goo gaga stage. And then we noticed the arm flapping, a lot of stimming in very different ways. So one of Grace's stims is she throws her body around violently on soft furnishings. So that was becoming more prominent. Humming when she eats, getting overstimulated by loud noises, crowds. We have a very loud family, so that came across quite quickly. But unfortunately, we were mid-lockdown by that point. So we just thought, okay, well, she's a lockdown baby. She'll catch up and move on, and things will go back to normal. And it kept happening. And the more she got older, the more kind of traits we saw. At that point, I was getting no healthcare visitors for the 2-year checkup because we were in lockdown. They weren't doing it anymore. GPs weren't seeing anyone. So we kind of had to wait and hold out and do as best as we could. Then we moved to Buckinghamshire. And at that time, Grace went to preschool for the first time. And looking back, it was horrific. Our daughter had gone from being around adults all the time, not socialising at all, to being thrown in this setting. And we weren't even able to be there for settling in periods because of lockdown. Looking back, it was probably the best thing for her to be thrown in at the deep end, but at the time it was very traumatic for her and for us. Straight away, our amazing preschool manager noticed that there were a certain few traits that she was concerned about with Grace. And she discussed them very quickly and very openly with us. And we were very happy to see that it wasn't just us. So she got in contact with the Learning Authority. We made an appointment with the GP, who originally wanted to test Grace for deafness and any ear issues. We knew this wasn't the case, but it was just a hurdle we had to jump through to get on to the next step. So Grace had a hearing test. Hearing was absolutely fine. Then we went back to our GP, said hearing was fine, and we got referred to a paediatrician to discuss Grace's concerns. During this time, in the background, our preschool manager was also dealing with a request for her to be assessed at preschool. So during this time, a few months had passed. There was a lot of backlog from COVID. And again, we were very lucky because we're in a rural area. We were very lucky to get seen pretty quickly compared to most people. I know a lot of people have to wait a long time, and it's very, very frustrating. I'm an impatient person at the best of times. So when Grace was 2.5, we got her appointment to see a paediatrician and an occupational therapist at the same time. So we went, discussed our concerns, and Grace was assessed. So they basically just watched her run around the room, did some measurements of her head, certain measurements of her body and things like that. And then they played with her. And it was very clear from the offset. They knew straight away. Luckily, they weren't backwards and coming forwards. They didn't make us wait. They said there and then that Grace was autistic, which we knew anyway, but it's nice to have it confirmed and in black and white. They also discovered that Grace slightly has her eyes too close together. We never noticed it before, and I can't say I notice it much now, but apparently that is the case. So they wanted us to have a genetics test. which we're still not 100% sure about. We haven't had it done, simply because we don't want to put her through a blood test. And it's still something we are unsure about. We know Grace's needs now. We're working on them. She's developing really well. And I think I will find it more traumatizing than her to have a blood test. And I really don't want to put her through it. But eventually, maybe one day, we will have this genetics test to see if there is anything else underlying that has caused Grace's issues. So going on from there, we got the CDT report, which is basically a report of everything we spoke about in this meeting, that come from the paediatrician and the occupational therapist. This was provided to the preschool as well, and from there the preschool were able to submit a load of evidence to the learning authority to put forward an application for an EHC plan. Now, during this time, Grace was having speech therapy at preschool as well, which they provided. We were very, very lucky. So that report went off as well. Now, again, this has taken a very, very long time. I think there's a 20-week period for an EHC process to be put into place. And even now we're waiting for the draft, which fingers crossed will come very soon. So where we're at now is a lot of professionals have seen Grace. So we've had paediatrics, we've had occupational therapists, we've had the learning authority, we've had, who else have we had? We've had an independent paediatrician from the learning authority. All of which will write report. Oh, we've also had a independent speech and language therapist as well. So all of which will write reports that will go into Grace's EHC plan, and they will put forward her plan, which will hopefully go to her schooling soon. So the whole process from questioning whether Grace had any issues to getting a full diagnosis was around 8 months, I believe. Again, that's quite a short term for any concerns to a full diagnosis, especially in COVID. We were very, very lucky, and I know parents have a real issue in getting their voices and their concerns heard. All I can say is keep on at them. It's very easy for children to get lost in the gaps. There are a lot of children who need support and a lot of families that need support. Keep on at them. It may seem like you're being petty or overzealous, but it's worth it. It's your child at the end of the day. They need the best care and support, and you are their voices, especially if they're non-verbal. They can't tell you. It will be an ongoing battle. So depending on your child's needs and abilities, you may need to fight professionals until they are adults or even beyond that. So don't give up. You are doing a fantastic job. It's not easy by any means, but it is so worth it. So I have been constantly fighting for Grace's medication, her melatonin, to be re-looked at, because she was prescribed it when she was 2. She's nearly 4 now. So obviously she's put on a lot of weight, she's grown, and the amount we were giving her was just not touching the sides. She was very sleep deprived. We were very sleep deprived, and it would result in her not going to preschool, so she was missing out on days. It was completely messing up her routine. She wasn't learning. She was frustrated. There were a lot of meltdowns. So I just kept on at everyone. I emailed everyone. I emailed the paediatricians. I emailed their secretaries. I emailed the occupational therapist. Anyone's contact details who I thought could help, I was contacting. And I did feel bad, but at the end of the day, this is my child and I will do what's best for her. So any professionals you have, contact them. Make yourself heard. It's totally worth it. And don't feel stupid asking any questions. My inbox is always open. By no means am I a professional, but I'm always willing to help, look for support and guidance and information for anyone, because I'm learning along the way and I want to help other people learn too. So if you have any questions, any thoughts or advice, or need any support, just give me a shout. My inbox is always open. If Grace hasn't got my phone, then I'll be on my phone. If not, I'll be on my laptop, where I'll always be answering inboxes and emails and things like that. So just give me a shout. Have a good day, guys. Bye.